Gameplay for you. I'm going to be using Akimbo SMGs in the ranked playlist, but I'm going to be playing against some very special enemies. On the enemy team, we have FaZe Censor, UMG MrX, formerly EG MrX, LEGIQN, and Jahova. On my team, we have Kross and Minnesota Burns. So it's a nerd, a sniper, and a troll versus the crew and 2 pro players. Going to be some fun gameplay here. This particular mode is called Momentum. We're going to get a pretty early victory, not going to last too long, then transition into some CTF. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was some advice on how to play Advanced Warfare, what modes play better than others, and some general opinions on this game. We'll do the opinions last and the advice first. First of all, I strongly advise trying out the ranked playlist. It's not on par with the Black Ops 2 League play yet, mostly because it has join in progress enabled. I guess on the plus side, if somebody quits, you can have somebody join on your team and help, but on the downside, sometimes you do get put into losing ranked games. But it has a sort of point system similar to League of Legends, which is nice, and I personally just feel that Advanced Warfare plays far better 4v4 than it does 6v6. For what I think, there was a lot of focus on that, competitive 4v4 when this game was being built, and it just runs like a ton better in the 4v4 mode than 6v6. For whatever reason, 6v6 feels very chaotic. There's a lot of boosting, a lot of people flipping spawns, a lot of kind of nonsense. When I played 4v4, the removal of the 4 additional players, 2 from each team, made the gameplay a lot smoother, a lot more fun, controllable. So once I get my team kind of set in place and once we sort of get past the launch craziness, most of the gameplay you're going to see on my channel is going to be on the ranked playlist. I'm going to try to get up to Masters Division, which I think I can do, and I'm going to try to do that with Akimbo SMGs here. Now that that little bit of advice is out of the way, actually I got one more piece of advice for you. I would recommend trying out these Akimbo SMGs. You got to get some kills with them to unlock the laser sight, which makes them much more deadly. The rest of the kills you have to get double kills to get most of the attachments, but they're actually quite strong, especially when stacked with a gung-ho. Even the crazier weapons in this game are actually pretty good. The EM1 can be pretty good in the right hands, even though it's definitely not what I would call a top tier weapon. Just try that out, try out 4v4, and I would say avoid team deathmatch and free-for-all, which I know is kind of going to go against the grain for most of you all, because like 80% of players play team deathmatch and nothing else. In every Call of Duty game that I've ever seen, like at least 50 to 60 to 70% of all players are always in TDM and not in anything else. I don't think TDM plays really good in this game. I think the spawns are a little bit nutty for it, and I don't find the mode to be very fun. Then again, I never really found it to be fun in any game, and same thing with FFA. It's just too kind of crazy. I had to get the last kill cam here. It made me feel really good about myself. But the more objective-based modes, Hardpoint plays really well. I think Hardpoint plays the best. For whatever reason, the game feels like it was built more around Hardpoint. CTF plays really well. Domination, not quite as much. Momentum is going to be kind of like my new fun casual mode. I think Momentum is more fun than Domination, at least for me, but it's kind of crazy, kind of fun, it works. Search and Destroy is not really my thing. Game 2, we don't have Censor anymore, but we still have Jahova, LEGIQN, and MrX versus me and Minnesota Burns in this game, and I am still giving it hell with the Akimbo submachine guns. Now let's talk about some opinions on Advanced Warfare, and keep in mind these are relatively early. I've been playing for a couple of days now. Yeah, I got it early. Almost everybody and their grandmother did, and I've been trying to form some logical, sensible opinions on the game to tell you. First up, there is a very steep learning curve. The new movement threw me off really bad. My initial kill-death ratio while playing this game, even given my experience at Gamescom, was actually about a 0.7. It was not very good. Not a very high KDR at all. I was playing bad. I was having difficulty aiming. I was having difficulty shooting my enemies and navigating the maps properly. The learning curve was very high, which is different for Call of Duty games. Typically, Call of Duty games have very simple learning curves. It's a kind of 2D shooter in a way. You're mostly on even ground, mostly doing, straight gunfights. There's none of this up, down, side to side, bouncing kind of Attack on Titan nonsense going on. But there's a lot of that in Advanced Warfare. It makes it very difficult to shoot people, and it makes it difficult to aim while you're doing this mid-air stuff. So the learning curve is very high. I was playing the other day and I had a lot of new people join the game, like levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. And there was lots of complaining, just tons and tons of complaining. I hate this. Why does everybody move so fast? Why can't I hit anybody? Oh my god, this is too fast. That's just part of the game now. It's a fast-paced game, and you're gonna need more than just a few matches to catch on to this. Some of you are faster learners than others. Some of you will get this like immediately. Some of you, like me, are gonna have to take some time. I go positive in every game now, but I definitely didn't when I first started, especially when you saw my live stream. That was a really rough start. On the upside of this, I feel that it truly rewards skilled players. If you are a high skill cap player, if you're comfortable with high mobility, if your aim is really good, if you were able to play really well in other Call of Duty games aggressively, I think you'll play really well at this one. If you are a type of player that likes to play conservatively, campy, defensive, it's not as made for you. Now, to be fair, the assault rifles are very strong, and I don't think that exo boosting all over the place is a good strategy. I think it's actually kind of a terrible strategy, because the people that do like to sit back can very easily pick you off with a great variety of weapons, but I don't think that's really going to be your game if you like the more simple, straightforward, linear kind of shooters, which is what we've had for like the last 9 or 10 Call of Duty games, and that turns a lot of people off immediately to say this doesn't feel like Call of Duty, there's something screwball about this, my old strategies don't work. It is quite different in that regard, so that's definitely going to turn a lot of people off. Gameplay wise, well, I'm already on gameplay. Gun wise, I like most of the guns. I do feel that there's a few that are quite strong or overpower the others. The BAL I initially didn't like when I first started playing the game. I just didn't like the way the sights shake, and I didn't like the somewhat unpredictable fire rate because it accelerates over time. But what I learned is it's kind of like the Modern Warfare 3 AK-47. Even the sights, even the red dot sights, are going to shake all over the place, but the actual accuracy is pretty high, and the hipfire is kind of nasty. So I've been using that a lot more and I've become a lot more comfortable with it. Almost every gun in this game is in some way useful. Even the Akimbo SMGs, even the EM1 laser. There's a few, we'll call them stinkers here and there. The EPM3, I think is what it's called, the weird marksman energy weapon. I really don't think that's a very useful weapon. You can use it in a certain kind of way to cheese people because it doesn't have a fire cap. Not very practical. The XMGs, again, aren't very practical. They can be fun, but most of the guns are useful and quite good. Even the submachine guns, which a lot of you are saying are underpowered, I don't think it's that the SMGs are underpowered, it's just that we've been playing Call of Duty Ghost for a whole year. Call of Duty Ghost had the MTAR, which had more range and damage than most of the assault rifles in the game, and the Vector, which had an absolutely gnarly 3-shot kill range. So we got used to seeing those two weapons all the time, and now that we have submachine guns that have really bad range penalties, like a submachine gun should, it feels like they're comparatively weak, and also generally speaking, I think it's just an assault rifle dominant game. Moving on to some things I don't like, the kill streaks are not so hot. I was kind of happy with the kill streaks in the Gamescom build, other than the fact that they were easy to get, but now that we have all of them, I'm kind of not as impressed. There's two problems with the kill streaks. Problem number one is that they're super hard to get. The amount of points that you need to get kill streaks is very high. I see very few people properly earning kill streaks. Most of them get them through care packages or just run UAVs. Like, when I get a UAV in this game, I feel like a god, and I'm not alone in that. I don't think I'm alone. I mean, I read the internet, I read YouTube comments, forums, and other people's videos and stuff. I think that the amount of points that I need to get these kill streaks are way higher than what they're worth, and that leads me to the next point, is that not many of the kill streaks are really that fun. Now, I'm not saying they're awful, they're not the worst I've ever seen, but they don't feel worth it. A lot of people are getting smarter. They can take down the Goliath. I do think the XS1 Vulcan, the laser that shoots from the sky and fries ants, maybe not the most practical, but it's fun. The map-specific kill streaks are pretty fun, especially on solar, where I can control the solar towers and kind of burn people. I like those. But I don't think I run kill streaks on any of my classes except the support ones, or the super low ones. I think System Hack is a super low one, which System Hack is one of the few that is worth it and should be higher up on the list because it is super colossally annoying, and the amount of points for that one is too low. But generally speaking, I don't think when we watch competitive play, I don't think you're going to get to see them running a whole ton of kill streaks, because very few people do in public matches. Most people trade in their kill streaks in order for to get more perks, more attachments, more exo abilities, something like that. Just they could use some touching up, especially like the big kill streak. There's no one big kill streak that feels really rewarding. Even the Paladin isn't really that cool. I mean, it kills people, but it doesn't have that sort of AC-130 factor. I always go back to the AC-130 from Modern Warfare 2, because that was a kill streak. Like, when you called it in, if you were on the ground, you could feel the fear in your butthole, because you knew the AC-130 was coming for you. When you were in it, you felt like a god. We don't really have anything that cool on this one, so we definitely need a little bit of work to do with the kill streaks. Some of the modes need some improvement. Generally, I'm really happy with the way the objective modes work, but some of them, I guess you're trying to do like 8 objective modes on 8 maps. I did run into a problem. I played the map Instinct on Uplink, and the goals were side by side. Like, the goals on Instinct were side by side, and the ball was on the other side of the map. So imagine having like back-to-back goals in soccer, but you had to like cross the other side of the field with the ball and then bring it all the way back. It was kind of nutty, and it basically turned into spawn trap heaven, which wasn't so great, which leads me to the next part about the spawns. The spawns in this game are a little bit on the rough side of things. They're not, I don't think they're as problematic as Call of Duty Ghost spawns, and I think the problem with the spawns is actually not the algorithms, because they work pretty well, and I say they're bad. I think I'm going to agree with Jahova on this one and say the problem with the spawns is the exosuits. The game's engine is going to try to dynamically pick the safest, best, most logical spawn for you, and sometimes in objective modes, of course, it gets more cramped if, you know, the enemy has three flags capped and you have to spawn near yours and you're in your spawn. It'll do weird things, but in the exos, you're boosting all over the place, which is making the amount of safe zones smaller and smaller and smaller. And even if you do spawn in a safe zone, you're really only 1 or 2 boosts away from being in danger again, or somebody boosting into you and killing you. It can get really, really crazy really fast. So there are definitely like oddities going on with the spawn system. To be fair, I think they're better than Ghosts, and I think they're more or less on par with Black Ops 2 at launch. If you don't remember, but Black Ops 2 had a pretty awful spawn system on launch. I mean, it really had some problems. I think this game is experiencing the same kind of problems. The in-office testing and the bot testing is just not like real people testing. We'll change tones a little bit. On good news, the PC port is spot on. We have a ton of nice options for PC. We don't have dedicated servers, and we do have some oddities, and I'm sorry my dog's shaking his collar over there. But the PC port's very playable. It's good. Most of the people seem to be happy with it. I personally don't have it. I haven't played it yet because I'm doing the console thing. One of the other things I noticed is that the player count is disabled for all systems. I think the player count on this game is kind of low. I'm just feeling it because the player counter has been a feature in every Call of Duty game ever, but they're all disabled for Advanced Warfare. I have a feeling that the sales were lower than expected, and they're trying to keep the player count off to like not discourage people from playing it. Seems like a pretty standard, normal sort of marketing business tactic. And I don't think that's the fault of this game, but rather some previous issues we've had with past Call of Duty games, and fatigue, and the new consoles are really screwing things up. It's kind of funny to say that Advanced Warfare is selling less than previous Call of Duty games, yet it's still like triple outselling anything else on the market right now. It's just a really like brutal time, because PC is all transitioning to free-to-play, and the consoles are transitioning from last gen to current gen, and there's a big like disconnect and screw up there with the amount of games purchases, because everybody's saving money for different things, so that's kind of rough. And one nice little thing I'll say at the end here is Sledgehammer seems on point with their community feedback and support. They've been busy on Reddit and Twitter, whatever, and I actually had the luxury to complain about some things on Gamescom, and you probably saw in my good, bad, and ugly video some of the things I complained about. And not all of those things, absolutely not all of them, but a significant number of them I can tell have been changed or looked at or touched up. Some of the little bugs I found were gone. Some of my suggestions were used, which was pretty cool. And I don't think I was the only one. The general consensus I get is that suggestions were taken from various community members or public forums and things like that and put into the game and feedback used. And the team seems really open to changing things. They're like, hey, if you don't like it, let me know, we'll work on it. And that's kind of the impression that I already got here. So even though our launch is not perfect, it's doing pretty good. And I think that the support's going to be there, so this will get better over time, kind of like Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 had a bit of a rough launch, but it got a lot better as it went. And I think with some time and patience, this is going to turn into quite a good game. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I might come back in a couple of weeks with a more full opinion after some right proper testing, and you know, when the true faults start showing. We're still in the honeymoon period with this COD. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drift0r out.